having a league table about how naughty certain nationalities are that we're going to publicise, I'm not sure is really helpful, because people will look at it and say, for example, well, there are more Indians that are being convicted. Well, so what? There are probably more Indians in the country. It doesn't prove anything. And I think all it will do is stir up racial hatred in minority groups.
Now, there is a new plan that's been backed by senior Tory MPs that would establish a league table that would list migrant nationalities by highest rates of crime. The plan is being put forward in an amendment to the government's criminal justice bill. And joining me now is Kevin Saunders, former Chief Immigration Officer at the UK Border Force at Calais. Kevin, thank you so much for giving us your time.
Good afternoon.
Kevin, I know that other countries do similar plans. For example, Denmark publishes these charts where it has violent crime conviction rates in Denmark by nation of origin. The UK is trying to do the same thing. Will this be useful?
I'm not really very sure it will, quite honestly. If somebody commits an offence, then we can remove them. We can cancel their visa and throw them out. I don't really see what publishing a league table of how naughty various nationalities are that come to the UK takes us very far.
Well, the former Home Secretary, Suella Braverman, who's quoted in this piece in The Telegraph, where this story has been published, says that we are importing crime. Is the thinking that if we know that certain nations are particularly high in crime when they come to the UK, then we're going to be, I don't know, refusing more visas? I'm trying to join the dots here, Kevin, because I'm also not quite sure what this chart will do. But is this fear that the UK is importing crime by just letting people in and assessing them for asylum status and visas?
Well, I mean, we did have this with Albanians. There were a lot of Albanians coming to the UK illegally because they wanted to work in the black economy, and they were into drugs and prostitution and various other things. So, but we knew that anyway. So, I don't think it took us anywhere. The thing is, if somebody comes to the UK, whether they're on a visa or whether they've come in illegally, and they commit a crime, the courts will deal with them. And then if the crime is serious enough, then we can cancel their visa and wave goodbye to them. Having a league table about how naughty certain nationalities are that we're going to publicise, I'm not sure is really helpful, because people will look at it and say, for example, well, there are more Indians that are being convicted. Well, so what? There are probably more Indians in the country. It doesn't prove anything. And I think all it will do is stir up racial hatred in minority groups.
Do you think it's ethical? I mean, as a former Chief Immigration Officer for UK Border Force, would that also have an effect on your agents at the border when they're letting people in? If someone knows that a particular nationality is responsible for quite a lot of migrant crime, is that going to affect them?
Well, people coming to the UK from most of the world will have a visa anyway. Mm-hmm. So they will have been assessed by our visa officers at in the country that they were leaving. So they will have decided whether that is a right and proper person to come to the UK. But they won't have committed crimes, or we hope they won't have committed crimes, before they arrive in the UK, because if we knew that they were a criminal before they came to the UK, we wouldn't give them a visa in the first place.
Kevin, can you give us a little bit of an idea of the current state of our UK border force? I know that you were stationed in Calais. We know that Calais is the first to be hit when there are slight changes in passports or any slight change in the protocol of how we'll let people in and people out. How are we doing in our preparations with that mass travel of people we're going to see this Easter weekend, and also going forward with the new changes coming in, of course, as Britain has left the EU?
Right. Well, there will be extra staff on duty this weekend and next weekend and the following weekend in Calais and the Channel Tunnel and Dunkirk to deal with the large number of Brits that will be returning. It won't be too painful coming back. The big problems, and you've highlighted the big problem, is going to be in October, November, when the new European system comes in, and everybody going to the continent will have to give a fingerprint and a photograph. That will be done at the port. I know Eurotunnel have invested a huge amount of money to make this operation as quick as possible. But there are going to be large delays because people are going to have to get out of cars, go and be photographed and fingerprinted by French officers, and then get back in their car afterwards. So something that might take 30 seconds at the moment is going to take 10 minutes in October, November.
Gosh, that is going to create a whole load of trouble. Kevin, thank you so much for giving us your time. I really appreciate it.
Today saw the highest number of small boat crossings of the year. You said you wanted to get flights off to Rwanda by the spring, so why are you waiting another 3 weeks to push your emergency Rwanda legislation through Parliament?
Yeah, when I got this job as Prime Minister, I set out 5 priorities. One of them was to stop the boats. I think this is really important for our country. The current situation is simply unfair and unsustainable. People shouldn't be able to jump the queue, come here illegally, put pressure on local services, undermine our sense of fairness, and ultimately put their lives at risk as they're exploited by gangs. That's why I'm determined to stop the boats. Our plan is working. The numbers last year were down by 1/3. That's never happened before. That shows that we're making progress. But in order to finish the job, we need a deterrent. People need to know that if they come here illegally, they won't be able to stay. That's why the Rwanda scheme is so important. That's why I'm determined to see it through Parliament and up and running. And it is the Labour Party that are doing everything they can, voting against it at every turn, that is causing the delay. So there's a clear choice here. If you believe, like I do, that we need to stop the boats and we need to have a deterrent to do that, then it's only the Conservative Party that shares your values and your views and is going to deliver on it.
Just